Good evening. My name is Mason Graham. This is for BCT 217. What we're currently looking at here is case study number 1. And this is an interesting case study. So the agenda for this is we're just going to go over a case overview, showcasing potential issues, developing a potential answer, and final takeaways. Case overview. I'm not going to repeat the professor's question, but I have included it here. And then I bolded the questions like, is this fair to you? Is it fair to the construction firm and the minority stakeholders? How do you deal with this situation, assuming that this process of moving expenses to the contractor side of the ledgers continue? Do you consult with some of the GC employees? This is a rough one as a first project manager. I would imagine that this one's not fun. I mean, you have an estimator that has missed a $200,000 millwork, which in the scope of the project, it's not a massive amount of money, but it's still a significant because it represents almost half your budget. So it's extremely significant in that sense. The fact that this architectural firm who prepared these, they left out pretty much everything that you need in the specifications in the drawings, which would create issues when the GC begins to review this and look at finalizing this project, right? So now that this is on document, that creates a different set of processes to make sure that it gets placed upon the work docket and isn't missed. So going forward, potential issues. Obviously, the estimator left out a $200 or $200,000 millwork package using incomplete or interpretive documents that rely on the GC to fill in the blank with very little information on the specification sheet. This one is huge because with the specification sheet, like you need to know what is the weight of this, how does that affect, within this lobby, what is the engineering specification? What is that guy going to be looking at or woman is going to be looking at? I mean, there's a lot of things that are left out that would be necessary to place this in here, right? The developer's desire for this piece. They have stated that they want this piece and that we have to have this piece, but they don't want to pay for this piece, right? And assuming that this discovery has taken place after the budget has been established. So, the project plan's in place, your charter's been done, plans in place, budget's established. And now out of the blue, you're already starting in the deficit with 200 grand. That's kind of a hard one to place across the budget, especially since no one's really taking ownership of it. And that's going to be key, right? And finally, this is your first project. You're already starting behind. You've been given the go-ahead by your bosses, and it's a big deal for you. I'm putting myself in these shoes, and you want to do a good job. Potential issues. So I think the first thing we need to do is first establish that this is your project, right? With the developer. Authority should be derived from the project plan in charter, right? Because you're the project manager. So however this is broken down, we're going to assume that the developer has authorized you to run the project, obviously your project manager, and you have that authority, right? Within limitations, that you're able to make decisions in the best represent the project, right? So my solution, it's identifying the shortcoming in the estimation plans and specifications. So we need to get that right out the gate right away. We need to understand how this piece fits into the overall construction and what specifics are going to be required, because right now we don't really have anything, and that's a good thing and a bad thing for later on because it does allow you some room to play with. You will need to reach out to the architectural firm to gather further details and clarifications of it and establish, what it is, what's its intent, what's its purpose, what's the dimensions, like what is this going to be, right? Now, here comes the more glaring issues. We do need to consult with the construction and the general contractor's leadership to identify these shortcomings, and potential issues. This is a big one, right? They're not going to do it unless it's in the plan and their specifications for it. We don't want to leave them a lot of room to interpret, right? Because that could be a really good thing or it could be a really bad thing depending on your firm and who your GC is. So we kind of want to mitigate that choice and mitigate those issues. So we want to identify and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. This is where we stand. This is something that's going to have to be done, right? Is there a way we can move forward, right? You as a PM and a GC and the architectural firm work on identifying possible solutions to reduce that cost. So the specifications were very vague. There's not really any drawings of it, right? So are we able to, find the equally appealing, less expensive piece millwork package that is going to achieve the same results with the developers, but not cost $200,000, right? If we can do that, it makes the next part really easy. And again, no specifications have really been, very vague. So you have some room there, right? So now we're going to have to present an equally appealing reduced cost millwork that's shared by the GC and the developer in the interest of good construction procedures and manners, right? This is going to have to be agreed upon. Ultimately, the estimator has missed it. That is a big one, right? But the architectural firm hasn't provided anything for it. So blame or fault can be shared across. We've reduced the cost of the millwork to something that is appropriate for the developers, that meets their intent, that meets the specifications of the architectural firm, right? And we can share that across the budget, right? Once that has been understood, agreed upon, then we can finally submit a change order detailing the change of plans and scope of work, and mainly that budgeting. That's going to be huge, right? Because if not, then the construction firm is going to be eating that cost. And, once you do that once in a project or once as a company, they're going to continue to do that. And that costs you significant profit at the start of your project. So things haven't even, moved to the point where you're going to run into issues. You're starting in the red, and that's never a good thing. I feel like this is a fair way to gauge this problem. I feel as a PM, this is going to make a lot of headache, a lot of angry people, a lot of mean phone calls probably. But if you can get it to work, it would definitely cement your ability as a PM as both somebody that can, make decisions on their feet, understand, read a room, and push the project forward in a way that best benefits the project. And final thoughts. But again, this would be a rough one to start on. There's numerous ways one could engage this with the limited information on the millworks. The construction firm, it could go really bad. You don't catch it, and the GC or the construction firm just throws something in there and then develop. Like, it's a rough one, and I feel like that's how I would approach it, to present equal terms or 60-40 across the board to make this work so that we can stay ahead of this, right? Add it to the, do the change order, add it to the scope of the work, and have that good continuity across the table. Thank you. This is the first case study, and very interested in feedback. Thank you.